Hi everybody, I'm back. Thanks for dealing with that technical problem. Apparently the hotel Wi-Fi isn't strong enough for all of us to be on looking at this. So again, I'm Kate Chapman. I write at a site called This Life in Progress, although you can find my writing all over the web. We've got a post up on Huffington Post right now. We've been on Scary Mommy. We're in Stepmom Magazine this week. So lots and lots of ways to find our story, but tonight you get it direct from me. I'm in Washington, D.C. I'm actually at a graduate program at Georgetown University. So I stay up here when I'm in class because it's a little bit far for me to commute from home. So I will be all yours tonight instead of spread out amongst our entourage like I usually am around bedtime. So I'm so glad to see you. We're going to talk about co-parenting tonight. We're going to talk about life after divorce. We're going to talk about kids and bonding and blended families. And then I'm going to answer any questions you have about our life together or about co-parenting or step-parenting or blended family issues that you have that you'd like to talk about. So go ahead and type those in the comments. Let me know you're here in the comments. I'd love to say hi to you personally. And we'll get started in just a minute. For those of you who are Facebook fans but may not follow elsewhere, you can find This Life in Progress on Instagram, on Twitter. You can find us on Pinterest with nearly 2,000 resources for blended families. Hi, Grady. And you can look at all of those things across the web that belong to us, but then of course you can subscribe at thislifeinprogress.com to get updates. And I am the queen of killing spam, so I will not spam you guys. So feel free to subscribe there or check out our other social media accounts. We are going to go ahead and get started so that we can talk about all the issues I know you have. The first is we will talk about a reader named Megan. And of course I change names here so that folks can ask their questions anonymously. But Megan wrote in, and she has been with her husband several years, really excited and an active, involved stepmom to their children, and is really struggling with her relationship with the bio mom. And Megan feels like she has gone over and above. She keeps the kids before and after school. She drives them to activities. She sort of advocates for the bio mom with her husband. And the bio mom has a really negative interaction pattern with Megan. And so Megan wrote me to ask what else she could be doing. She really wants a positive relationship for the kids. She really wants to be part of that co-parenting tribe, but the mom is really high conflict. And my answer to Megan might surprise you because I'm a huge co-parenting advocate. But my answer to Megan is maybe it's time to stop trying. When you have done everything you can in an appropriate, kind, and compassionate way, when you've tried to build that relationship in any area of your life, not just between a bio mom and a stepmom or a bio dad and a stepdad, and that's resulting in conflict, I think the answer is probably to step back for a little bit and focus on her relationship, Megan's relationship with the kids, making that strong and positive, continuing to hold mom in the highest regard with the kids. That's an important relationship for them, even if it's one that's not working for Megan right now. Hold out hope that maybe things will be different in the future. Where you are today doesn't mean where you'll be forever. But really focus on building that positive interaction within the four walls that Megan can control and allowing that mom to have her experience in whatever way is suiting her right now. So if you're stuck in a relationship, whether that be with your ex or with your partner's ex that isn't a positive one, and you have legitimately and honestly tried, you've talked about it and it just doesn't work, it's okay to step back. It's okay to focus on the relationship that you have that is working. And it's okay also to leave the door open for that to change. So That's my response to Megan, who has every good intention in the world and wasn't getting what she wanted from that relationship. All right, anybody with questions out there that they want to type in, I'm happy to see. Otherwise, we can go to our next reader question. I've had so many questions submitted in the last couple of weeks. It's really been almost overwhelming. So I'm excited for Facebook Live and the opportunity to talk to you and talk through them rather than typing out Ask Kate posts on all of them. Some of you would be waiting weeks and weeks for your answers. So let's talk about Deidre. Oh, I had one other note that I wanted to share with you on Megan's story. There's a post out there on Ask Kate called What to Do When You Really, Really Hate His Ex. That is not something that I have personal experience with, but I did have a reader write in. We talked through that issue. I've actually had that reader revisit the issue and tell me that she's feeling better, so that's good news. But if you want to take a look, if some of you are in a high conflict relationship and struggling with that post, What to Do When I Really, Really Hate His Ex, even if you're not feeling that way, but you feel that conflict coming towards you, might be able to help. So let's talk about the second reader question that I've chosen for you tonight. I had a reader named Deidre write in, and Deidre is a mom. She's a bio mom, and she's concerned that the stepmom for her children is overstepping, kind of taking over in places where Deidre wants to participate, especially in school events. She hasn't had a chance to really form a bond there, and this stepmom is stepping in and making Deidre uncomfortable. So the first thing that I would have Deidre or anyone in that situation do is explore a way to talk to that person about that. That's not always the right answer, and sometimes you need to sit with that just on your own a little bit and understand what might we get out of that conversation. So you want to make sure it can be a productive situation that both people can be heard and talk through it. But my recommendation is to Deidre, first, try to talk about it. The stepmom may simply be trying to form a bond, may think that she's supposed to be there. The kids may be asking her to be there. I know that's something my stepchildren do, is they ask me to participate in school events. Let's get the full story from all the adults involved, and then Deidre can really work with the stepmom on, first, what's making her uncomfortable about it, and second, what they can do together to ease that discomfort. Now, some of you are probably watching this and rolling your eyes thinking, it's never going to work. And that may be true for your situation. So if you're in a situation that is high conflict or that there's not communication, I think you can start a different way. And that is by reframing that stepmom as someone on your children's team. I think as mom, I've been there. I think some of you have read my co-parenting post about how we co-parent as a tribe. And in it, I talk about something my daughter Lottie said to me when my ex, Billy, got married. Billy got married and Lottie was super excited about it. And she came home and she said, "Mom, it's so exciting. Now I have two moms." And I thought, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. Luckily, I got my face mostly right. Because that was an exciting thing for Lottie. It was how she saw it. She saw it as broadening her circle of love, which is what it was. For me, though, it brought up all kinds of threatened feelings and grief about that my family wasn't what I thought it might have looked like. I never imagined I'd have another woman in the play. And so I had to take some time to really unpack that. And to unpack that and think about, what is it I really honestly want? And then what is it that's a fleeting feeling or emotion that may get in the way of that? And what I really want is for my three children to be 100% secure in their love for all the people in their tribe. And my own kind of personal stuff was getting in the way. And it was getting in the way because I had grief. It was getting in the way because I was dealing with something I never thought I would deal with. I never thought I'd be divorced, let alone remarried and have my ex remarried too. And so as I sorted through that, I realized that I just needed some time for my head to catch up with my heart. And so I think for me, when I gave myself the grace of that time, I was able to really think through it and be there in the way that I was authentically representing myself for Lottie so that she could be comfortable. So I've been there. I know you can get worried about it. I know how it feels in your gut when somebody says, hey, I have another one of you. I also know that just like I can love more than one child, my children can love more than one person. And so I had to take some time to get comfortable with that. And when I did, it made things lots easier. So my advice to Deidre would be, see if there's anything you need to unpack for yourself. And you can do that with a friend or with a coach or with help. I'm not saying there is. And then try to talk to the stepmom about what would be better for you, what would be more comfortable, and come to a mutual solution about that. So looks like we have a question from Victoria. She's about to get married again and wants to know how to make the transition easier for kids and fiance. That's exciting, first of all. Congratulations, that's huge. So I'm really excited. What you might want to think about is making sure that you're all prepared for that transition. What would have helped me is to understand that the wedding was a source of real joy for Gabe and I, but wasn't necessarily a source. Hi, great. I'm glad we're back. So what would have helped me was really understanding that there were going to be mixed emotions across the board for everyone involved, and that those mixed emotions would last a long time. So Victoria, what I would say for you is do your research, make sure your spouse has done his research, be ready for good days and be ready for hard days, just like any other kind of family. Blended families get to begin on one day, but take a long time to form authentically. So have patience with yourself and with your family, and make sure to extend yourself grace as you can. All right, do we have other questions out there? Thank you all for dealing with some of the excitement here with our signal. The hotel does not have the wireless capabilities that I would like it to, but it is much quieter than coming to you live from my living room at home. Okay, so let's talk then about our third issue. And our third issue was one sent in by a reader who wanted to know about step-sibling exclusion. So she has a situation where she married a man who was a widower. He had older children. They then had children together. And now, years later, they're working with a situation that her children are sometimes excluded by the now adult children when they're doing family things. So a couple of thoughts here. One, I'm a big proponent of open communication. So talking to the older children about what's happening, having the dad lead in that conversation, I think could be really helpful. But this situation triggered for me another thought. And that was, as a divorced mom, I often think that whatever is happening is because I divorced my children's father. And when I have a situation with my stepchildren, I think often that it's because we're in a step-family relationship. But this was an interesting reader question for me because I actually have a sibling that I am much older than. I'm 10 years older than my brother, and when I went off to college, he was still home. And I often forgot to include him in my adult life, not because I didn't love him, I love my brother dearly, but because he was just so different than I was. And frankly, most of the time I was growing up, he was sort of an add-on in my mind. So in thinking about that, I thought it might be a worthy question for us to talk about because it's a great example of sometimes we attribute negative behavior to our stepfamily dynamic or to the dissolution of that first family, when really there's something else going on. So I'm not saying that's the case with this reader. I certainly don't know enough. It was just written in, but I thought it was worth the conversation to talk through. So hopefully that helps you. Hopefully you can see me too, as we're not too blurry on this live video. I'm going to pause while you think of any other questions you might have. For those of you who've just joined, I'm Kate from This Life in Progress. I'm a divorced parent, a step-parent, a co-parent, and I'm a cheerleader for people in all of those roles. I have a background as a professional coach, but I work now as a writer. And you can see me on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. You can also find me on Scary Mommy, Huffington Post. We're up on the front page of the divorce section today, and in many other areas across the web. So you can always find my latest and greatest, though I save my best stuff for those of us looking and playing and reading along at home. So my best stuff is always on thislifeinprogress.com. Any other questions? I'll pause, but you can always submit your question using the Contact Us or message me on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. I'd love to see you and talk through your issues. I may do it live because we've had so many of them. It's a little bit hard for me to get back to folks. We have big stuff coming on the web, on the website in March. So please make sure, if you're not already, that you're subscribed. I'm going to be sending out a freebie exclusively to subscribers. So if you go on thislifeinprogress.com, you'll see the sign me up box. It will pop for you. It's also on the right-hand sidebar and below every post. So if you enter your email there, you'll get a freebie in March. And again, I will not spam you. Lord knows I have 425 unread emails in my box right now. So I will not spam you. I promise. And then we will talk often this way. Thanks, Melissa. Melissa says she loves watching, and Nicole says, I appreciate having you as a resource. Thank you, Nicole. I think a lot of you know my story. I was a kid on the internet when I was pregnant, and then a kid because I was 25 when I had Simon. And I religiously sort of got my baby center emails and followed along and had such a great online community. And then I divorced and realized there was very little for divorced moms. And then, goodness gracious, I got married, and there is absolutely nothing out there that resonated for me as a divorced mom and a stepmom. And so I decided to go ahead and start this myself. Tracy's asking a question. She says, can I speak further about your experience with blaming divorce for negative behaviors? Sure can. So that is a story I tell myself, Tracy, and you'll hear me use that language a lot. But I really am sad that I am not living sometimes in a first family. Not because I want to be in that family wasn't healthy or right for me, but I never expected to dissolve that family. And I'm really aware of the pain that that caused and sometimes still causes my children. That doesn't mean I would do things differently. It doesn't mean that I am regretful about my divorce. My divorce was the right choice for me and the rest of our family. And there is no love like the love I have for my husband, Gabe. That said, I have children who bear the wound of that divorce. And the story I tell myself is that whatever is happening at that moment is that they have too much pain and sadness about that divorce, which I'm not sure they do, but this is the story I'm telling myself, remember? And so whatever they're doing is because of that. So if Simon isn't doing well in school, could be because of the divorce in my head. If Lottie isn't bonding well with her friends, I worry that that's about the divorce. That's not true. That's just the story I'm telling myself. And so I had to learn to really unpack that and understand that my guilt and shame about that, which I talk a lot about in Unloving Your Second Choice on the blog, is not the truth of that story. And so when I think about all the things happening in our blended family, we have 6 children. 2 teenagers, 2 tweens, 2 8-year-olds. They have busy lives. They live between 2 houses. We've got sports team and ballet. Lots is going on. It's inappropriate for me to ascribe anything negative that happens to something that happened years and years ago. Awareness about it is important, right? So we talk about that awareness of the grief, but ascribing everything to it, not okay. Sometimes your teen is mouthing off to you because they're a teenager. Sometimes your kid fails math because they failed math, because they didn't pay attention, because they didn't do their homework. It's not always about the divorce. And for what it's worth, I think other parents probably carry that baggage about other things, right? So I have a friend who struggles with depression. I know that she worries that her depression has negatively impacted her child. We see things through our own lens and worry about that. So that's what I mean about ascribing negative behaviors to the divorce. It's appropriate for children of divorce to have different ones, but I think that to have different emotions and grieve that, but it's not responsible for everything. Yeah, Nicole, you say that you have 5. Yes, 5 is a bunch, right? And I don't know about you, but I kind of figured we would get married and be blended and ta-da, it would be awesome. And that's mostly the story, right? It is lots of fun to have that many kids, but it is also wildly hard and sometimes a lot harder than I thought. And, sometimes the secret is it's just supposed to be hard. If you were managing 5 children that you birthed or 5 children that you brought into your family through adoption, it would be hard. Sometimes things are just hard. That doesn't mean they're bad. Hard isn't the same as bad. All right, so other questions tonight? This is great discussion. I'm so glad that we're on together. All right, well, I'll wrap us up then. I wanted to say again, thank you so much for subscribing to This Life in Progress, for liking the page, for following on social media. Sometimes people ask me how I'm compensated for This Life in Progress. I am not. Very few of us bloggers are. This is a passion project for me. The way you can thank me for it rather than paying me is to share it with your friends. I would love to reach as many folks in this situation as I can because it's so important for us to remember that we're not alone, that there are other families out there. Many marriages end in divorce and many families go on to survive that and come together in a different way. And I'd love to celebrate both the love happening in my house and the love happening in all of yours by helping folks understand blended families and parenting after divorce in a different way. So if you can like and share this video, my pages, please feel free. I'd love to help anyone and everyone we can and get a broader discussion going. And subscribe to the page because free stuff's coming in March. There's a new post out there today. Go enjoy. And I'm so delighted that you were able to join us. And thank you so much for liking This Life in Progress, for sharing our information, and for sharing your stories and really trusting me. Because remember, I'm a coach, and we can talk about what that is on another video. I can help you prepare for success, but I'm not a therapist. I'm not licensed. I'm just sharing my experience in the hopes that it will make you feel less alone and spark some ideas on how you might bring more love and laughter into your home. All right, have a great night, everyone. I really appreciate you tuning in. Again, this is Kate from This Life in Progress, and I really hope to see you again soon. Submit your questions to Ask Kate, like us and follow us on social media, and share away. Good night, everyone.